It pissed me off. The first time I had to pay rent, it just, the total cost of moving out, I made a little around $2,960. I'm a Christian, so I'm not doing anything crazy, but I get to go out when I want to, come home when I want to, because I got my master's, I got my bachelor's, and I was living under my parents. So like when I was younger, like my ex used to come and pick me up from home, and it's like, I don't want anyone, it used to make me nervous. Alright, so I went from paying $0 a month, living at home free with my mom, her making me coffee in the morning, cooking for me, all the way from that to paying $1,500 a month, to having to go grocery shopping every single week, y'all, to paying for utilities, internet. I have to pay for internet. I'm sorry, I'm just complaining. But my parents took care of me for 26 years, so I went from doing that to now paying rent. It pissed me off. The first time I had to pay rent, it just, it didn't feel that great putting money down on a place where I have to live. From living at home with my parents for 26 years to now moving out for the first time with my first big girl job, and I want to tell you everything about that. I want to go all the way from what it was like renting a U-Haul truck. So without further ado, let's get into the video for today. So to start out, first I'm just going to talk about why I moved. And another pro of staying at home, besides, you know, all the free stuff, is that I was a recent graduate, stay home, but I also come from a low income household. So going through college, a lot of FAFSA took care of it, government scholarships and all of that. But when I did my master's, I actually came out of school and I was $56,000 in student debt. Another pro of staying at home was actually paying off my debt. So now, like right now, I'm 36K in debt. So I paid off within a year of just living with my parents. After graduating, I paid off about $20,000 of my loan. You know, my first job, it didn't go that well. So 4 months after girl job, I had to look for another job. So that was one life occasion that happened to me. And then the second thing was into a car accident a little bit after graduation, about 6 or 7 months after graduation. And so staying at home, I think, like, you know, just until you're grounded and steady, those are the benefits, is that like you don't have these major expenses coming your way, and if you do, you're sort of like in a safety blanket. Now, the pros of moving out, on the other hand, were two major reasons for me. My parents had me in their early 40s. So right now, my parents are 60s and early 70s. I got to a point where I was like, okay, you know, I have a full-time job, I make, you know, decent amount of money. I could be living outside of my parents. Like, I don't have to depend on them anymore or rely on them. And I felt a little bit guilty, because I mean, like, you know, they're your parents, they love you, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know if y'all can relate, but you reach a point in your life where you're just ready to take on the next step, whatever it is. For me, for example, in relationships, it was like everyone was booed up when they were in middle school and stuff like that. I remember that's when people started getting into relationships. But for me, I never felt like I was ready to be in a relationship until I got to high school. And there was this guy that I really liked. Well, there's two guys I really like. It wasn't until that point that I was like, you know, I'm ready to be in a relationship. Or, you know, or just going off into college. Like when I reached 18, I don't know, you know, there was a period of time where you were scared to do that said thing. And then after that time comes, it's like you're suddenly brave. And so with moving out and getting my place, I'm a 26-year-old, it just felt like it was the right time. I also didn't feel like mooching off my parents. My friend used the word mooching. Now I'm not really doing that anymore, and I felt like it was time to be independent. I had the money, I had the resources, so I was like, okay. And me moving out also meant that my parents could have their own independence as well. So them immigrating to the United States to give us, you know, and staying here because, you know, there are more opportunities here and whatnot. They now have the liberty, without the children being in the house, to travel back home and, you know, live wherever they want to live, whether that be back in Ethiopia or Eritrea or elsewhere, you know what I mean? So now they have the liberty and they don't have someone that they need to take care of. The second part of it is, I talk about boys a lot, it's just the independence part. Like being a 26-year-old, I don't know if y'all can relate, but like, I don't want a guy to meet my dad until like he puts a ring on it, you know what I mean? So like when I was younger, like my ex used to come and pick me up from home, and it's like, I don't want anyone, it used to make me nervous because I would think like he would see my parents and then I would have to introduce him and stuff like that. that. But it's sort of like, I don't want anyone to, like, you want a sense of privacy as a young adult as well. And for me, it was like, I don't want my man. The only man I want my parents to meet is the guy that that I'm gonna end up marrying. So it's also that sense of privacy that, like, you know, you get to go out when I'm a Christian, so I'm not doing anything crazy, but I get to go out when I want to, come home when I want to, you know, I'm responsible, of course, I don't do anything stupid. But but with that being said, it's also like, you know, even if I want a guy to pick me up and stuff like that, I want like the liberty and not the awkwardness or anything like that. So there's this sense of independence as well. So those are the pros. One, giving my parents independence, and then on the flip side, giving myself independence as well. So that was some of the reasons why I was like, I had to move out. You know what I mean? And so I felt I was ready. It was the right time. So now that we talked about the pros and cons of moving out, the third step is like, what did it cost to move out? The truth, the total cost ofmoving out, I made a little sheet, was, for me, it was around, I had to add this into it, but it was around $2,966. Wow, $66.26. That was about the cost of moving out for me. And this includes renting a U-Haul truck, the appliances I had to pay for, the prorated rent, the furniture and the carpet that my roommate and I ended up getting, renter's insurance and furniture. So the first thing is the U-Haul truck. U-Haul costs about $230.26 for me. And so funny story about this is that, like, y'all know how, like, you see a U-Haul truck and it usually has a $19.99 rent, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, $19.99 is not bad at all. But then, like, you have that's like the base rent, that's the base price for it. But then it has the, like, for every mile that you travel, it's $1.38 based on, or $1.50 something cents based on which size truck that you got. So the truck that I got, I was moving 40 miles away from my parents. So you had to drive 40 miles and then 40 miles back. So it's like 40, so total of about 80 times 1.38. So that's the math that you have to do. And then on top of that, you also have to put gas into the U-Haul truck when you get it and when you return it, or else you have to give them the same amount of gas back, or else they actually charge you. And so I made the mistake of putting more gas into the U-Haul truck than it needed, and then they don't refund you for the extra gas. Like, they gave it to me halfway full and I filled it up all the way, and basically they didn't refund me at all. And then the second thing that I had to buy was the appliances. This includes like toasters and coffee makers, you know, tea maker, all of that stuff. And it's like, y'all, appliances, and it's like every week I think of something that I need. Like right now, I need a fruit holder. I need a fruit holder, trash cans, trash, you know, plastic trash, the plastic bins and all of that. You know, even the stuff that you're in the shower, the little cubby that you need to hold your, you know, shower materials and stuff. I needed that. So appliances cost me $931.75. The next thing that cost me money is prorated rent, and all prorated rent is like, you're using, basically you're paying for what you move in. So me and my roommate moved in on January 18th. And so we had to pay January 18th and onwards. So whatever we use in the month for the rent, that was the rent that we had to pay. And we also pay for parking. So $120 a month for parking. That's funny. America. And so a total of that was $1,218.68. Renter's insurance is you just have to get renter's insurance. For me, that's $12.47 every single month. And so that's how much I paid. And then last but not least, have two more categories, $221 for groceries. That's not that bad. I eat at home, so that's not bad. And then the last category is furniture. And so for furniture, me and my roommate ended up getting just a carpet and a couch. And so we split the cost. So the carpet was $604.18, and then the couch was $604, and then the carpet was $124. So we split that into two, that total. And so my half was $364. And so this is a little bit of what we spent for moving out. And so I spent close to $3,000. Again, that total amount is $2,966.26. And so that's what it was like. What is like moving out? The first what it was like for me is that the first thing is I missed my family. Actually, when I moved out, my mom was like, you have to text me every single day. And I looked at her and I was like, woman, every single day you want me to text you? That's crazy. And then it was my first week of living by myself, and I was like, dang, I kind of miss the people. So I actually started texting her every day. And then the second week it was like every other day, and then the third week is like 2 times a week or something like that, you know what I mean? So definitely missed my family at first, but you start to get adjusted to it. I think like the more like you get into the cycle of things, like I wake up at like 5-6 a.m. in the morning, and I get in my butt to work, and like you just get so caught into the cycle of life that you sort of forget these things. Not that I forget my family, but like you don't miss, not that you don't miss them as much, but like, you know, you're just so occupied that you don't pay that much attention to that. You just get used to your new and current life. And the second thing that is, it's not as bad as I thought. I think I was completely overwhelmed with the thought of paying for rent, like paying $1,500 a month for rent. And you're supposed to, as a number, you're supposed to pay like, I think it's like between 30%, 35% of your income is supposed to go towards living expenses. So for me, this is about 35 to 40% of my income, which is not that bad. And so I was overwhelmed at the thought of, you know, moving out for the first time, at the thought of paying rent and doing all of these things. But again, it's like you just get into the cycle of everything, and then I got paid, and I like have money in my account, and I'm like, oh, it's not that bad, you know what I mean? So you just get used to it. So it wasn't as bad as I thought. And things don't cost as much as I thought. Like groceries, I think I spent like $50 a week or something like that on groceries. My budget is $200 a month, so that's pretty good. And then the third thing is, if you're living with a roommate, for me, this is my second time living with a roommate. The first time was my first real time really living with a roommate, and it was weird at first because when you are with your family, it's sort of like, you know, you can walk around ugly, you know what I mean, wearing sweatpants, looking like a whole bum. But then when you're living with someone, it's sort of like, and also your family is gonna forgive you. Like for me, I leave all the cabinets open. Sometimes I'm messy, and so when you're living with your family, it's like they're more forgiving, and you have the liberty and the freedom to be messy and look like a mess and all of that. But like when you're living with someone, especially like for the first month or first few months and stuff like that, until you get accustomed to everything, it's like you kind of feel like you have to, like, I don't know, have your guard on. That's the best way that I could describe it, because it's like you're living with someone, and like you have to, you know, you have to keep up a little bit. So that's been my experience. So overall, I'm pretending like I'm talking to, you know, my little brother or sister, my little cousin, my little whatever. And if I have to say, moving out, it's not as bad as it seems. I would say that my advice would be save more than you think, because I didn't think that it was going to cost me around $3,000 to move out, even though that's not that bad because that includes my first prorated rent. I didn't think it was going to cost me that much. I didn't think that appliances were going to cost me like $900. Yeah, $900. And I still have to keep buying more. The second thing is like, with that is that like you always figure out things to buy. Like this week I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a fruit basket holder. Oh my gosh, I need something for my bathroom so that, like, you know, my makeup is not everywhere. I need like something to hold them, or I need a little carpet that goes next to, you know, my bed, because we have hardwood floors and I kind of want to sit down on the floor when I read my Bible in the morning. So it's like you figure out little things to buy. My second piece of advice would be like, don't rush it. If you're like 19 and, you know, you are still in college, I think take advantage of the time that you have with your parents. Like if your parents are there and they're able to provide for you, especially so you can just focus on school, like do that. Because I got my master's, I got my bachelor's, and I was living under my parents and they took care of me. for that period of time. After that period of time, I was like, okay, it's time to move out. But definitely, like, if you're able to just, you know, have them provide for you for that period of time, I think that's okay. And then my third piece of advice is that if you are moving out or you have to move out, I mean, stick to the 35, stay under the 35% of your income, 40% of your income. Don't go above that. Stay within that range of your income in terms of finding a place. But it's not that bad as all. When you get used to the rhythm of things, it's not as bad as you think that it is. I mean, there are adults everywhere and they're doing it. And if other people can do it, then you can do it too. You know what I mean? I'm doing it, so you can do it too. And that's all. I hope that this video has been even a little bit helpful. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And comment down below what you'd like to hear from me next. And yeah, thank you for watching my video for today. I'm just trying to see what it looks like in this jacket, if I should keep it on. I should put this, if I should put this down. I hope I look cute.